Assessment of the precision of an analytical dataset. 5 measurements of the fasting serum glucose concentration were made on the same sample taken from a diabetic patient. The values obtained were 2.3, 2.5, 2.2, 2.6, and 2.5 millimolar. Calculate the precision of the dataset. Precision is normally expressed either as one standard deviation of the mean or as the coefficient of variation of the mean. These statistical parameters therefore need to be calculated. To calculate our mean, we add together 2.2 plus 2.3 plus 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.6 and divide it by 5, which gives us 2.42 millimolar. For the next part, we need to know both equation 1.10, standard deviation equals the square root of the summation of the experimental value minus the mean squared, divided by the degrees of freedom. And equation 1.11, where standard deviation equals the square root of the summation of the experimental values squared minus the summation of the experimental values squared, divided by n, all divided by degrees of freedom. Standard deviation, using both equations 1.10 and 1.11 to calculate the value of S, we get the graph below. Using equation 1.10, we get standard deviation equals the square root of 0.108 divided by 4, which equals 0.164 millimolar. Using equation 1.11, standard deviation equals the square root of 29.39 minus 12.1 squared divided by 5, all divided by 4, which equals the square root of 29.39 minus 29.28, all divided by 4, which gives us 0.166 millimolar. Equation 1.12, coefficient of variation equals standard deviation times 100% all divided by the mean. Using equation 1.12, coefficient of variation equals 0.165 times 100% divided by 2.42, which gives us 6.82%. Discussion. In this case, it is easier to appreciate the precision of the dataset by considering the coefficient of variation. The value 6.82% is moderately high for this type of analysis. Automation of the method would certainly reduce it by at least half. Note that it is legitimate to quote the answers to these calculations to one more digit than was present in the original dataset. In practice, it is advisable to carry out the statistical analysis on a far larger dataset than that presented in this example.